Hi, I'm Jan Kiermaz, and I'm sat here with John Durant because I thought it's about time he got interviewed. He's interviewed everyone else. Now it's time for us to interview John.
Okay.
So, hi, John.
Hi, John.
So, right, um, should we start with where you started?
Where I started.
Yeah.
Well, if yes, it's difficult because when you're on this particular journey, this particular path with dealing with spiritualism, knowing exactly where you started is a bit complicated. I had a very religious upbringing. My grandfather was a deacon at a local church. Um, but where it really started for me was I used to sing in a choir. Yes, I used to sing in a choir. Very angelic. And the church, it was a high church. So it was wasn't quite Catholic, but getting there. So we had all that going on. And one of the guys I met there was a really nice fella. And he said, you can feel the power. He liked being up by the altar because you could feel that. And he was right. The thing was, he was right. You could feel a difference there, which was amazing. Um, then I discovered some stuff about Buddhism. And in actual fact, I found I was reading novels about Buddhism, which was fascinating again in itself. Then I went through all sorts of other areas. I was trying to look at Kung Fu and how you developed your spirituality and how you did your breathing and all that sort of stuff. And you find that, yeah, it's okay, it's very interesting. But then the big thing for me was in the early 70s, my marriage split up and I came running home to mummy, as you do, because I had kids in tow and somebody had to look after them. I went to a service at Chester Church. It was an open circle. It was the first organised thing I'd done in spiritualism. And a lady there called Joan Smith was running that circle. And I sat right through the circle and all these things were going on around me and people giving messages and so on and so forth. I'm just sat there, nothing. And I thought, well, at least I thought I was going to get something. But I just sat there. And at the end of it, she was about to close the circle and she came to me and she said, are you okay? I said, well, to be honest, no. I said, what's the matter? She said, can I just say that, have you got any Catholic connections in your family? Well, we had my aunt, my uncle's wife, so aunt-in-law was Catholic. She said, the reason I've asked you that is because I can see a picture of the statue of Mary, which is over the pool at Lourdes, you know, the healing pool in France. And I just said, oh, and then she just shut up. She just sat there and looked at me. And it was like, how do I describe this? Can you imagine warm honey being poured over you?
Bit sticky, but yes.
It's sticky. But it was just like this warmth just flowed all over me. I can still remember it and I can still feel it. I now know its energy was just flowing over me. But when it had finished, it was a minute or two, and the whole place was silent while this was going on. And she then said, how do you feel now? And I felt so much better, I can't tell you. That was, for me, that was the turning point. That was the thing. And I think most people, most spiritualists, if you ask them, have a something which happened to them at some point. Whether that was when they were a child and they saw somebody, I can tell you stories about people who've seen stuff and so on, or whether it's stories similar to mine, it doesn't matter, but most of them have had a thing, something just made them go click and realise what's happening.
Wow.
No, yeah. You can't, not really much you can say about that, is there? But it's quite special. Yes, quite special. Then there were other things after that occurred, different bits and bobs and stuff. And I started to sit in a circle with Joan Smith in Chester. And we just used to sit. Now, everybody these days wants something to happen. You know, and we used to sit in this circle and we'd sit for an hour. We'd sit for 20 minutes, half an hour, with nobody saying a word, nothing. In meditation. And then afterwards we'd talk about it. Eventually, there was trance stuff started to happen within that circle and within that group. But yeah, that was just went on for seemed like ages and nothing really occurring. And that was the way we did it in those days. That was the way it was. I mean, I'm talking 60 plus years ago. I've been at it a while. But yeah, we just did it slow. And things happened very quietly.
Great. I like that.
I've left you speechless now.
A little bit, yes. But yeah, so where did it go from there on?
From there on. I don't know if I'm typical, but I think from people I've spoken to, they have these experiences, they do little things happen, and then nothing seems to occur. And I stopped. Stopped is the wrong word. I'm losing interest is the wrong word. Life took over.
As it does.
As it does, yeah. Life took over. And I didn't do anything really until, I suppose, about the early 80s, I suppose. And again, Chester Church, Joan Smith, I used to take her around to different services. We'd go around to different places. I'd sit and watch her. I'd give her lifts here and there and back and so on. And I joined the committee at Chester and so on. And so got to know a little bit about what was going on within spiritualism. But Joan, God bless her cotton socks, was not conventional. But she was very disciplined. And things had to be done in a certain way. And you had to have respect. Yes, you could laugh with spirit, but never at them. And her favourite phrase when she was giving messages with anybody was, "I'll listen to them, dear, before I listen to you." So people would say no to her over anything. She would say, "I listen to them, dear, not to you." And invariably she was right. She was the first medium I met who could actually see spirit regularly. You'd be walking down the street with her and she'd just turn to her side, you were on one side, she'd turn to the other side, start talking to somebody. You couldn't see them. I didn't know they were there. But she just starts, that was quite interesting. She was a very influential person. And then I met a guy called Tommy Richardson in Liverpool. He was president of Liverpool Church. And during that time, that's the late 90s, and during that time there was a lot of politics going on. Joan and I both got, I'm going to say, sideways moved out of Chester Church. We got voted out of everything. They fell out with us because we were, it doesn't matter, it really doesn't matter, but it got very political. And then stuff happened with Tommy. I started to do stuff in Liverpool Church and didn't fall out with Joan, but we sort of drifted apart. I think it's very difficult for a mentor because she was my mentor, when somebody else comes along and starts to mentor you and you need to move on to progress. It must be very difficult. It's not happened to me yet, but it must be very difficult for the original mentor to see you move on somewhere else. But that's what happened. And I started doing stuff with Tommy. And he introduced me to my guides. We used to spend hours just talking about it. And at the end of the day, that was what was special, I think, was just the hours we spent talking about it. That was quite interesting. Quite interesting. And I started to make mistakes and make a fool of myself and do things wrong. And yeah.
But you learn from that. It's the mistakes that teach us a lot quicker, isn't it, than everything going perfectly.
It's
But you
work.
recognised that, and that's a huge thing to actually recognise that that was what you were doing.
At the time, I mean, you think you know it all. I thought I knew it all. I thought,
Problems of youth.
yeah. But yes, it was quite fascinating. But then over those years, you see different mediums and the way they work. And one of the reasons that I want to do what I want to do is because people seem to have forgotten that. People seem to have forgotten it takes time, or it can take time, to develop mediumship, to develop that link with people who aren't here anymore. They move in a different vibration. They have a different energy level. They do things in a different way. It's difficult to describe. I think mediums will understand me because things change. And one of the reasons for doing the courses and things and wanting to tell people about this is that people have forgotten the basics. Everybody wants to be a medium suddenly, and they have an experience and they're suddenly a medium. It happened to me. I had an experience and suddenly, oh, I'm a medium. But then when it didn't happen again, or when sitting in an open circle in Chester, I used to get taken over. Yeah, okay. There was a guy, a spirit person used to come to me, and he was quite influential. I had an experience, excuse me, I had an experience of him in his, he was a lecturer at Oxford University. And, but I'm going back, late 19th century, the 1800s. And I think Oxford was about then. But it was a little study room. Had a little study room, and it had a fireplace. And you could see the fire in the fireplace. And he had a rocking chair. And I would feel myself sitting in front of this fire in this rocking chair with a blanket over my knee. Eating gruel. Not quite, but close. And Joan had encouraged me to speak about philosophy and things, and teaching and so on. And I was doing this in the circle, and there was a lady there from Ellesmere Port, whose name I can't remember, but an excellent medium and very, very to the point, didn't stand any nonsense. And she told me exactly what she thought of what I was doing and what I was saying, in no uncertain terms, and put me down in a big way. Yeah, I haven't forgotten that either. Because she did it in front of everybody. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, what do I do now? And I just shut up. And the thing is, it bursts your bubble on one hand, but on the other hand, it makes you realise that it's so easy to make yourself out to be something that you're actually not. And although I, in my own mind, was quite convinced over what I was seeing and doing, it obviously wasn't coming across like that. Because this lady from Ellesmere Port, who's not with us anymore, could actually see what was going on with me. And she told me afterwards she could see what was going on with me. And she said, it's not what you think it is. And yeah.
But you're learning all the time.
But I see that kind of nonsense going on now. And I hear people saying things and doing things, and it's ego. And I've studied all that, so I've done all the counselling, Carl Jung bit and all that. So I know about ego, and I know that we need ego, but we don't need to blow it up into something that it isn't. You've got to believe in yourself. You've got to have confidence in yourself, but at the same time, you haven't got to overdo it.
Yeah, I mean, quite often there's a fine line between having that self-confidence and being boastful. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, we used to call it being big-headed, but I don't know about that anymore. But yeah. So.
Okay. So, can you tell me a little bit about the new course that's I know you've been doing? um, this sounds really, really actually interesting because it's about taking people back to those basics you mentioned before.
What we've done with the course, what I've done with the course is, and people who've been to any of my workshops know about this, everything and all the stuff I've read from all the sort of serious people right through to those who are just stuffing stuff on the internet to try and get money out of you. So those who know what they're talking about and those who don't, they are all actually saying the same thing, that everything is energy. Everything is energy, and we're all quantum physics. They talk about quantum physics, and they talk about things being atoms and molecules and all this sort of stuff vibrating at different rates, and quantum entanglement, what happens over here is happening over there, and blah 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 blah. Everything at the end of the day is energy, and that's what it's all about. And energy cannot be created or destroyed. So this universe that we talk about is just a huge ball of energy, and we're part of it. Enough of that. And what I've done with the course is I've hopefully got people to experience their own energy. When we do stuff on a workshop, there's a group of people so you can practice with each other. Unfortunately, when you're doing a course like this, you've got to find somebody who's in a similar frame of mind as you who will do it with you. But yeah, it's all about energy. So it's finding that energy, and sometimes you can see it, you can certainly feel it. Definitely feel it. That's the first thing. So there's lots of things in the course about practicing with that, about playing with energy, feeling energy balls, watching for energy on other people, seeing the glow around people. If you attend the odd service at a spiritualist church, you'll see that a glow around the medium. You can see it's there. You can see it. It's the heightened energy, it's the heightened frequency. That's the first thing. The second thing, and it's common to, is meditation. And there's, how do I say this nicely? There's a load of rubbish talked about meditation, and it's really very simple. Okay. Now, if you go to the Buddhist monks, who are, or the Hindus, they are probably the people who have been doing it the longest. And yes, they can actually control every single action of the body. So they can raise their temperature, they can lower their temperature. They can raise their heartbeat, they can lower their heartbeat. They can change aspects of their body. It took Buddha 30 plus years to reach nirvana, where you think of nothing. If you've got 30 years to go and sit up the Himalayas in a little lightweight whatever and sit and just meditate, you might achieve that, but the likelihood is very, very slim. So the whole thing about meditation is to actually find that quiet part of your mind, that quiet part of yourself, and remembering that it's all energy and we are part of that universal energy. It's actually you, and it's inside you. So the meditation bit is all about being inside you. How do you achieve that? The other one is breathing. It's all about breath. And if you are a singer, or if you play a musical instrument, or if you do martial arts like you do, you learn about breathing. If you do yoga, you learn about breathing. Now, not to make too much of this, yes, there's breath work, and yes, there's all sorts of aspects you can do with breathing, but learn the basics first. You breathe in and out. Yeah, okay, fine. If you go and watch a baby breathing, I suggest you find somebody you know, because if you go and stand in a stranger's baby's room, they're not going to like it. But if you watch a baby asleep, you see their stomachs rise up and down, not their chests. Their stomachs rise up and down. They're breathing, and they're also breathing in and out. In, and you don't get this, breathe in for 3, hold for 4, breathe out to 8, breathe in. You don't get that. It's just breathe in and out. If you want to do the Eckhart Tolle bit and breathe into the now and breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, do that if you want to. It's fine. But it's just breathing, and learn to do it properly. Once you've learned to do that, from experience, I know that A, it helps you to relax. And
Yes.
it just helps things. You know this. You've done it. Yeah. And you know about when you're doing martial arts that you... Jan's a martial artist. Well, don't muck with Jan. When you breathe in, you breathe into to build up to doing something, and you breathe out to help that energy flow, which you need. Something like that.
Yeah, you have things like Kiermaz, which are that expulsion of energy in a shout. So yeah.
Okay. Same thing, similar thing with breathing. Just breathe into the nose, out the mouth, into the stomach. And you can feel the energy change. And if you then ask your guides or loved ones to come around you, you can feel the energy change. And that's really what it's all about. Those two things, breathing and meditation. And don't try and clear your mind, you can't, it's impossible.
Oh, yes.
But when the thoughts go off on something, bring it back to inside here. When the thoughts go off, oh yes, that's interesting, oh yeah, I like that, then bring it back into here. So you keep inside yourself.
So this course is quite easy, isn't it? Because it's all broken down into lessons, so each one builds on the last. So we've got this nice compartmentalised way of learning, so you can go back over things. So when I went through and saw the plan for it, it was that nice, easy, basic steps. Everyone builds, but you can go back to the beginning, which is breathing. That's your first one, yeah?
Yeah.
And do that breath again. So you don't have to think, oh my God, I'm not getting anywhere. You can take that step back. That's the beauty, especially of online courses, where you get that opportunity to go back and revisit things as often as you need.
We've also done it as a video, but we've also done it, there's written.
Yes.
It's also written. So you can read it, you can look at it. Because I'm from experience, I know that if you read something, you don't always understand it. If you see it being demonstrated or somebody talking about it, it makes it clearer.
So who is this aimed at? Who's the course aimed at? Who's it for?
Anybody. That's not...
You know better than that.
Seriously, I think anybody who's starting out, anybody who's reached a point where they seem to have come so far and then stopped, they can't understand. A couple of years ago, it happened to me. I got to a point where everything just stopped. In fact, it's about 5 years ago. And I stopped. I stopped doing everything. And then a couple of years ago, I went to a lecture being given by a Buddhist monk. And he was a Scouser. He was actually a naughty boy who'd found a different path. And he was talking about that. And the thing about it was that he said about meditation, he said it's nothing special. It's just what I've just been talking about. Yeah. But then he said you do that the same time, the same place, every day. Only needs to be 5 minutes. That's all. Same place, same time, every day. And don't try and do anything special. Just breathe and sit quiet. That's it. And I can't explain. I've done that I've been doing that now for just over 2 years since I spoke to him. And I cannot tell you how it's changed the way I look at things. But it's also changed the way I feel about myself and about other things. And I know that when you stand up on a rostrum in a church and you're standing up in front of everybody and you're doing stuff and blah, blah, you still don't always feel that confident about it. And this has changed. It's changed. And I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying I'm doing the only thing that's right. I'm not saying my way is the only way. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is there are different ways to approach things, and it's as well to look at the different ways and find out what's good for you. And that's also what the course does. As you say, it's split down and it gives people the chance.
Okay. You've also got the community that you've created, which is your the safe space for people.
Well, we've done that on WhatsApp, so it's a safe space. You have to join, but it means that you can ask questions. We'll be doing. I hope we're going to be able to do lives on there, so people can ask questions, get answers live. But even if they can't, you can write stuff in. You can record it. The good thing about WhatsApp, you can do things as a voice record. If you don't like typing, you can do it as sound, and those will get answered. I've given myself a bit of a task there, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously we've been creating the interviews. They've all gone online, and some of them obviously are going to be part of the community because of the value that they offer, but also because of what's being discussed. But there's going to be free stuff as well, isn't there?
Oh yeah,
Well. There's going to be lots of things.
I mean, let's face it, the community isn't going to be expensive. We're talking about $4.97 a month. It's just it's got to be done because things have got to be paid for. At the same time, there are things of interest, but there are things which are not stuff that you want to put out there to the general public, to everybody, for all the trolls and people to come on board and go, yeah.
Yeah, and keeping trolls out is one of the reasons for charging, because that does keep the trolls away.
Yeah.
So it does help to keep the space safe for everyone who's in there.
That's the point. And there are things. I mean, we've got an interview there with Joseph where some of the stuff he talks about is quite special. It's quite special, and I wouldn't like to put it out there for anybody and everybody. So people who've got an interest and want to ask, but they will want to ask questions, because some of the stuff he says is a bit, you think, hang on a minute. But yeah, it's special. I've got other people, I've got a witch coming on there to talk about things. Now, I don't want to put that out all over the place because people are going to go, hang on a minute. But yeah, it's important. And these people, I'm not just interviewing people who are doing it for the sake of it. I'm interviewing people who've got a passion about what they do, who understand what they do. And the idea is to let people make up their own minds.
Yes.
You know, have a look at these things, play with them, pull them apart, ask questions about them, get answers that you want about them. And if you then want to go away and do it, go away and do it yourself. That's what it's all about. It's about finding what you want to do, the way you want to do it, that suits you. At the end of the day, we just said it's all universe. We're all part of this universe, which is a diverse, huge universe. And don't tell me that when you look at the night sky, somewhere a billion light years away, over the other side, over there, that you can't see properly, there isn't somebody like you, like me, sitting here doing a recording to talk to people about what's going on with life. So it's too big to say it's just this and nothing else. But if you've got just this to start with, find somewhere to start. Let's just do it.
Yeah, because the community is all about going on a journey together.
Sorry, yeah, it's a journey. She's reminding me of stuff. It's a journey. I'm not trying to say this is it. I'm on a journey. I'm inviting you to come with me and join me on that journey.
That's good.
Okay. And on that note,
I think that's a good place for us to end the interview.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Jan. Thank you for doing this. You really just sat there and given me somebody to talk at.
I'm very good at that. That's what I do in my day job.
But yeah, reminding me of different things. But yeah, I think that for me, the past 2 years has opened up a whole new world. okay, talk about being there for 60 odd years, but it's in the past 2 years that things have just suddenly become different. And I think it's an acknowledgement. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Cheers.